morning. I'm Lynn and welcome to Ewetopia Farms. Today I thought I would discuss a little bit about what people should expect when they go do a farm visit, what to look for in the sheep, and what to look for on the farm itself to know what you're getting into. So stick around and see what we recommend you look for when looking for a good quality breeding stock. So, if you want to visit somebody's farm and you don't know too much about sheep, we're going to assume you know nothing. When you go into the farm, you're going to be talking to the farmer and know the questions that you want to ask and see what they volunteer to. See if they discuss the bad things about sheep and their breed as well as the good, because like I've said a million times, no breed is perfect, no management system's perfect, but it's what works for you. So pick their brains that way and go have a look at the sheep, preferably when they're sheared off, because all sheep look a lot better when they have their wool on. And if you are looking at the sheep when they have the wool on, look at the quality of the wool. Is it nice and lush and fluffy looking, or is it bedraggled, shedding, parting so that it's hanging loose and stuff? Those are signs that the sheep aren't being fed correctly usually, or that they're not well. You want a healthy fleece is usually a healthy sheep. And then when you're in there talking to them, what we do is we generally go barn to barn when we have people over, so they can see all the groups, all the breeds. We tell them how we raise them, what we like, what we don't like, how we feed them, why we feed them that way, just like in the YouTube videos. And they'll be standing here and in every barn. So as a newbie to sheep, like I said, look at the fleeces. Look at their condition. When you're looking at their condition, you do need to know if they were just weaned, because they're going to be in much poorer condition if they were just weaned. But at this time of year, they should be starting to get condition back, so they should look nice and full. They should look at you with really bright eyes and upward ears and just full of vigor and life looking. And as you stand there, you shouldn't be hearing coughing. Occasionally you'll have a sheep that gets something caught in their throat and it'll cough for a little while. That's normal. But sometimes you'll go in a barn and you hear this. It's silent. There's nobody coughing. Coughing is a sure sign of illness. This time of year is when you'll hear a lot of coughing, because in high humidity you will get pneumonia, as we've seen with a few of our sheep that got it. I think we had 2 or 3 that got it out of hundreds. You want to see that they've got a pretty clean bedding pack, and if you're walking around in the pens, take a peek at their drinkers and their mineral feeders. Are they clean? Something to think about too. When they're walking around, are they limping? If they're being fed, are they all coming up to the feeder? If they're out grazing, are there a whole bunch of them grazing on their knees? Those are sure signs that there's something wrong in the flock. Grazing on the knees means that you've got a hoof issue and you don't want it to be foot rot. Everybody has hoof issues, because scald is also one of those things you can't avoid if you're outside, and even inside you can still get it if the conditions get a little dirty. But when it progresses onto the foot rot stage, now you've got a contagious bacteria that also can run rampant in your flock. So look for that. Look for abscesses. If you see an abscess, talk about it. I don't see any here. Oh, I'll go to Belle. She's in the next barn, and we'll go look at her because I told you she had an abscess. Those are the types of things you're looking for. Anyone who says that everything's perfect and that all diseases are like god awful, like the end of the world, if you're going to extremes on either end, I'd be a little dubious about it. You got to be a little more realistic. You might want to ask what the breeder is, what their flock goals are for their sheep. Are they more maternal oriented? It's all about producing lots of lambs. Or are they more terminal oriented, where they're focusing more on meat qualities? You can get a happy medium with both qualities, but some people prefer to go one way or the other. And if you want lots of lambs, you should be heading probably towards a more maternal breed. Likewise, if you want more meat, you should be looking maybe towards a more terminal breed. Okay, now I'm in this is Sheriff's breeding group, and he's the lucky ram that got all my old Texel crosses. I think there's one Texel cross in Hamish's group. But all these girls, I would like to find a home for them because we're trying to get out of the Texels now. We just want to have purebred Dorsets, purebred Suffolks, just to make our life a little easier instead of having so many different types. But I really like my Texel crosses. But these are all old girls. So if someone who doesn't want to take the risk on an old girl, these girls will retire. Will probably end up dying here. They're all between 8 and 10 years old in here, and I was talking to you about Belle, she was my test subject. She was a sample size of 1, which isn't accurate. As I said, you want large sample sizes, but Caseous isn't a huge problem here. Most sheep don't have it because I vaccinate for it, and I do vaccinate Belle every year, but she had it as a lamb. And here she is. She's the gray-faced one here. Belle. She's 10 now. And I kid you not, she has had twins for us every single year. She did last year too, and I'm guessing she's going to have twins again this year. Here she is. She's bright-eyed. Her ears are forward. She's in good condition. You can see under her throat, she's got just the slightest bit of scar tissue. She's not going to go side on for me. There, you can see a little bit there. That's her lamb caseous lump. Because we did lance it and drain it and cleaned it out, disinfected it. But there tends to always be like a little hard part that you just can't get out, and it's like scar tissue, and it just stays there. But that was the only issue we ever had from her, was that we had to catch her and drain a lump when she was a year old. So don't panic if you see a lump on your sheep. The best prevention is to vaccinate for it. Now, it's a live vaccine, so if you vaccinate your sheep for it and you bring it to a flock and they test your sheep, it's going to come back saying they all have caseous. Well, they don't. They all have the antibodies or whatever, the proteins in their blood because of the vaccine. But it shouldn't be an issue for you if you vaccinate. It's never been an issue for us. And even Maedi Visna, it's not one I would want. Hi, Angel. Hi, sweetheart. You're in here too. You're a Texel cross, but she's one of the young ones. Even Maedi Visna is not going to show up until they're old. And at that point, they would probably be at the age where you're considering culling them anyway. Because if you have a really good breeding program, you're going to go through all your old ewes every year and cull out the ones that just aren't looking as good anymore for whatever reason. They haven't overcome the stresses of lambing as well that year. The heat is affecting them more hard than it used to when they were younger, so they're not gaining weight as well. Whatever the reason, but you're going to be going through them, because if you have a really good breeding program, these are our lambs in here. These lambs, by the time you have a sheep that's 5-6 years old, should be way higher in quality than those ones that you thought were fantastic 6 years ago. Because if you're doing things right, your quality should be increasing every year. So it's sad to see the old ones go, but the fruits of your labor will be taking over, and your flock will be getting stronger, healthier, and better over the years. So you will be culling those old girls anyway. So they say, I think it's on average, all flocks have about 7% max. I think it's 4 to 7% cases of Maedi Visna in their flock. So if you have 100 sheep, you might have 4 or 7 that when they're 5 or 6 years old, you're going to find they don't have enough milk for their lambs, or they're just not gaining their weight back anymore. You can test them and find out if that's what it is, or you can just cull them and replace them with one of your fresh new ones. So then you're keeping your costs down, and you're getting rid of anything that could be a potential problem, because it's not curable. So they're testing it and finding out that it has Maedi Visna. Unless you plan on culling all of her line, there's not really much point in doing it. Just cull sheep that aren't productive anymore, and keep your young ones, and you're going to have a healthy flock. And while I was in here, one of these lambs started coughing, remember? And that's an example of it being nothing. Like she got something in her throat and she's coughing. You can really tell the sick coughers. It's like it with a kid. You hear a kid coughing and it's got that hacking, like bubbly, congested cough, and they just look sick. Sheep are the same. But when you're going to buy, look for these things and listen. So I'm not advocating having Maedi Visna or Caseous or sore mouth or anything in your flock. Nobody wants that. I don't. But I see so much on social media, on the sheep sites, where someone will write in and say, I have this symptom, what is it? And people jump down their throats, like terrifying these people, telling them that they have to cull that one, cull every sheep related to it, cull every sheep in the pen, cull every sheep on your farm. It'll never be right. Crucify the people you bought it from. It's just so nasty and uncalled for and ridiculous. If you want to have a good, healthy flock, please use good management. Look after your sheep, watch them, know them. Treat the ones that are sick immediately. Ones that aren't going to get better, ship them off so they don't spread it on to your flock. If you can vaccinate for something, vaccinate for it. It's all worth it for you, for the animals, for everyone. But please don't listen to these people who say it's the end of the world and you are now going to fail and your sheep are going to fail and all that. Because even if you did have all those things in your flock, as like I said, people on the internet have them on their flock, and I got to give them credit for letting everyone know that, because it shows you that you can still function and function well and be profitable and have a happy, healthy flock and do well with these things popping up occasionally in your flock. It's just all about management. It really, really is. Manage your sheep correctly, keep good records, and feed them properly. And know your sheep so that you can recognize signs easily. And I greatly admire people who are very transparent about their flocks and their health issues. and how they're dealing with things, because a lot of people won't do it. And it's not because they want to be deceitful or make themselves better than they really are, which can sometimes be the case. But I think the greatest fear is that if you say, well, I had 7 sheep with Maedi Visna the other day, that all the other breeders are going to say, oh, you hear that? That's a terrible flock. Don't go there. I mean, so you don't want all the other people bad-mouthing you. So yeah, Sandy Brock, hats off, because she brings it all out. I try to show everything too, and believe me, I don't like doing it. It makes me sad when we have sheep that are sick. But it is reality, and if you are thinking that having animals, and the more you have, the worse it gets, if you think it's going to be all roses, it's not. If you have animals, you're going to have illness. I don't like the, if you have livestock, you're going to have dead stock thing, because I believe you can definitely prevent the amount of dead stock you have by management. Hopefully that gave first-time buyers a little idea of what they should be looking at or looking for when they go to see someone's farm and their sheep for the first time. And if you can see as many sheep farms as possible, even watching YouTube videos and stuff does help. It gives you a little idea of what to expect and how to make more educated decisions, because it's very important when you're starting out especially. Anyway, the sheep are all in the coverall there waiting to go to bed, and I hope you'll join us tomorrow for the next episode at Ewetopia Farms. Bye for now.